My sister kept telling everyone my husband was in love with her, until I made her swallow every word. The first time my sister joked that my husband was in love with her, we were sitting at my parents' kitchen table, and I honestly thought she was just bored and looking for a new way to stir things up. I had just come from the clinic, still in my scrub-style top with my name badge shoved into my pocket, trying to pretend I was not running billing reports in my head while peeling potatoes. My husband was out in the driveway helping my dad move some boxes from the garage, because that is what he does. If he sees a box, a broken thing, or a weird noise in a wall, he goes there automatically. He works in building maintenance, lives in work boots, and has a brain wired to find loose screws and suspicious rattles. My sister sat across from me, legs up on the chair, scrolling on her phone like she was allergic to sitting upright. She chewed on a piece of ice and said, so casual it took a second to land, "You know he only comes over this much because of me, right?" I looked up. "What?" She shrugged. Like this was the most obvious thing in the world. "Your husband. He is obsessed with fixing my stuff. My phone, my car. That time he helped me move my couch. It is kind of obvious." I laughed because it sounded so stupid I did not know where to file it in my brain. "He comes over because this is my parents' house," I said, "and because my dad always finds a new project when he knows there's a man with tools in the family. And he helps you because you do not know how to reset a breaker, not because he wants to kiss you." She rolled her eyes and did that little smirk she does when she thinks she has secret knowledge. "You really do not see it," she said. "The way he drops everything when I call. The way he looks at me when I talk. You are lucky I am not messy." I snorted. "You called him that time because your smoke detector beeped once and you freaked out. He drops everything when my dad calls because my dad will keep calling every 10 minutes. And he looks at you like he looks at the dryer when it makes a weird noise. Trust me, nobody here is special." She laughed, but she held my gaze a little too long, and there was something in her eyes that made me uncomfortable. Then my mom walked in with a pile of mail. My dad yelled something from the yard, and life moved on. That should have been the end of it. Just a stupid comment, like when she used to say teachers had crushes on her, or coworkers were jealous of her energy. She has always needed to feel like someone is obsessed with her. In high school, it was boys. In her early 20s, it was supervisors and managers. If people were not paying attention, she would invent attention. It was annoying, but it was also just part of who she was. The problem is that this time, she decided to build that whole fantasy life on top of my marriage. And the sad part is, I should have seen it coming, because this was not brand new. It was just louder. When we were kids, she used to do smaller versions of the same thing. Back then, it was little playground crushes. There was this boy who lived down the street. The kind of kid who would come over to trade cards and end up staying for dinner. He liked me first, in that childish way where like means throwing grass at you. We were around 12. One afternoon, we were all sitting on the porch steps when he turned to me and said, "Do you want to come ride bikes later?" Before I could answer, my sister slid between us like smoke. "She cannot," she said. "She has to help our mom, but I can go." He looked confused. "I asked her," he said. She smiled sweetly. "Yeah, but I am more fun," she said. "You always smile more when I am around." I remember that burn in my stomach, the way my face got hot while the adults inside had no idea anything was happening on the porch. I remember telling myself it was stupid to care, that it was just a bike ride. Still, when I watched them pedal away together, that was the first time I had this weird, quiet thought. She will always jump in front of me if she feels like there is a spotlight. Later, in youth group at church, it was the same song with a different beat. A leader would pay attention to my questions, and suddenly she would be there, laughing too loudly at his jokes, sitting too close, telling me afterward that he obviously liked her more. If a boy in the group texted me, she would accidentally answer from my phone or start texting him separately, then tell me later, "He is way more my type anyway." When I got my first real boyfriend around the end of high school, she was the one who told my parents before I was ready. But somehow the story she told made it sound like he was chasing her too. She said things like, "He stares at me weird sometimes," and "I feel like if you were not in the picture, we would have a vibe." She said it half joking, half serious, like she wanted to see which half would land. I kept forgiving it because that is what everyone did. My parents used words like dramatic and free spirit and told me not to be jealous, that my sister just craved attention and that I was above that. They meant it as a compliment, but it always felt like code for, "We expect you to absorb the fallout," because she cannot handle consequences. So when she started making comments about my husband, my brain filed it under the same old folder. She needs to feel chosen, she needs to feel watched, and she has decided again that the person I am closest to is her best bet. The difference is that we were not kids anymore, and this time the stakes were not playground crushes or group texts. This time there was a mortgage and a marriage and actual reputations involved. A few weeks after that first kitchen table comment, it was my parents' turn to host Sunday dinner. They go to a small church and have this whole thing about being a family that opens their home, which in practice just means I end up washing a lot of dishes. I had worked a full week at the medical clinic, juggling appointment schedules, insurance authorizations, and patients who show up half an hour late and then get mad that they have to wait. By Sunday, my brain is mush. We were all in the living room when my sister decided to perform. My husband was in the kitchen helping my dad with the sink, because of course the sink had started leaking right before dinner. I was sitting on the couch with my mom, half listening to her talk about the latest prayer requests from church. My cousin, who is younger and unfortunately worships my sister, was playing a game on his phone. My sister stretched dramatically and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "You know, I feel bad sometimes. I should probably stop calling your husband so much." My mom froze. "Why?" she asked, already nervous. "Because," my sister said, spinning a strand of hair around her finger, "he always abandons whatever he is doing to come rescue me. I mean, earlier this week I texted him about my car making a noise and he was at my apartment in 10 minutes. That level of dedication is suspicious, do not you think?" My cousin looked up, interested. My mom's eyebrows shot up. I felt my stomach drop. "He went because my dad told him your car inspection was coming up and he did not want you getting stranded on the highway," I said slowly. "And your place is 10 minutes away from his job. That is why he got there fast, not because he teleported." My sister grinned, loving the attention. Sure, logistics. But you all should see how he looks at me. Eye contact, body language. There is definitely chemistry. Right, cousin?" My cousin laughed awkwardly. "I mean, he definitely helps you a lot," he said. "You are always talking about him fixing something." "That is because she calls him for everything," I snapped. My husband could be sleeping and she would text about a light bulb. My mom gave me that warning look mothers have when they feel a scene coming. "Girls," she said, "we are not going to joke like that. People from church talk, you know that." My sister put a hand on her chest. "Who said I am joking?" she murmured. I saw it then. Not just teasing, but this weird, dreamy look in her eyes like she had already written an entire romance novel in her head. I felt something cold crawl up my spine. Later that night in the car home, I told my husband about it. "She keeps saying you are in love with her," I said, staring out the window. "She said you abandon everything for her and that there is chemistry." He made a face. "What? That is ridiculous." "I know it is ridiculous," I said, "but she is saying it out loud, in front of people. And you know how my family is. One stupid thing gets repeated 10 times, and then it becomes truth." He sighed, rubbing his forehead. "She is just being dramatic. She has always been like that." "Yeah, but before it was random coworkers or guys from youth group," I said. "Now it is you, my husband, my marriage. That is different." He was quiet for a moment. "Do you think people actually believe it?" he asked. I shrugged, but my chest felt tight. "I do not know." My cousin repeated it like it was funny. My mom looked like she wanted the floor to open. And my dad, honestly, he avoided eye contact the whole time, which is not great. He gripped the steering wheel tighter. "I just help her because she asks," he said. "If her car breaks down, I help. If her power goes out, I go." It never crossed my mind that she would twist that into whatever this is. "Then we need to do something," I said, "because I am not going to sit here and wait for someone from church to come up to me with that pity voice and ask, 'How are things at home? I know how this community works.'" He nodded slowly. "What do you want me to do?" "I want you to stop," I said. "Cold turkey. No more fixes. No more errands. If she calls, you tell her to contact a mechanic, or an electrician, or literally anyone else. Maybe when she sees that you are not her personal handyman, this whole delusion will fall apart." He hesitated. "She is going to throw a fit." "I know," I said. "But honestly, let her. I would rather deal with her tantrum than watch this nonsense grow." He thought about it for a few seconds, then nodded. "Okay, no more rescues. I will only see her in group settings and be polite. That is it." I exhaled for the first time all day. "Thank you." I wish I could say that plan fixed everything. Instead, it blew the whole situation wide open. The first test came faster than I expected. A couple of days later, my sister called while we were eating dinner. He glanced at the screen, then turned the phone face down. "Are you going to answer?" I asked. He shook his head. "We just sat down. I will call her back later. She called again. Then again. Then she started texting. I could see parts of the notifications on his screen. Car making a weird noise, please. It might explode. I am serious. I am on the side of the road. Please answer. He looked at me, torn. What if she really is stuck? He asked. Then she can call roadside assistance, I said tightly. Or our dad, or a tow truck, or a friend. You are not the only person with a pulse. He took a deep breath and turned the phone off. We finished dinner in silence. Later, he texted her a short message. Cannot help right now. Call a tow truck or my father. She did not reply. By the weekend, my parents had scheduled a family cookout. Of course they had. Nothing like a bunch of folding chairs and potato salad to make generational dysfunction really shine. When we arrived, my sister was already there, sitting in the backyard with my cousin and an aunt, talking loudly. I could tell from their faces that we were the topic. The second my husband stepped outside, my sister's eyes locked on him like a heat-seeking missile. Oh, look who decided to show up, she said. Mr. Too Busy for Family. I felt my jaw clench. My husband stayed near me, grabbing a plate and focusing very hard on the hot dogs. Hey, he said. How is everybody? Ask me, my sister said, leaning back dramatically. I had a breakdown on the highway this week, but my family only found out through my story because apparently I do not matter enough to get a call back. Several heads turned. My aunt frowned. What happened? She asked. My car was making this horrible noise, my sister said. I called my dear brother-in-law who used to rush over for me and he straight up ignored me. I could have died on the road. Did you die? I asked before I could stop myself. She shot me a glare. It is the principal. My cousin, of course, jumped in. Yeah, he used to fix everything for you, he said. Why would he stop? Maybe someone told him to, my sister said, staring directly at me. Maybe someone gave him rules about what kind of help is allowed and what is not. Because heaven forbid he cares about me too much. Right? My mom stood near the patio door, holding a tray of cups, her face a little pale. My dad was by the grill, jaw tight. Something snapped inside me. For months, I said, loudly enough for the whole yard, you have been running around telling people that my husband is in love with you, that he is obsessed with you, that he would choose you if he ever had the courage. You have been painting my marriage like some kind of love triangle, and you expect us to just keep fixing your light bulbs like nothing is wrong? The backyard went dead quiet. Even the kids stopped yelling. My sister's mouth fell open. I never said, you told our hairdresser that there was something undeniable between you, I said. You told our neighbor that my husband could not resist you. You told our cousin that you were sure he would leave me if you gave him a chance. Do you want me to keep going? Because I can list names. My aunt put a hand over her mouth. My cousin's eyes widened, and he looked like he wanted to vanish into his plastic chair. My mom started crying immediately because that is her default setting when conflict reaches a certain volume. Please, she said. We are outside, the neighbors will hear. We cannot turn this into a spectacle. People from church. My dad finally turned from the grill, face red, eyes hard. Is this true? He asked my sister. She crossed her arms. I never said he would leave her, she said defensively. I just told people I felt a weird connection. I cannot help how I feel. Feelings are one thing, I said. Telling everyone that my husband is your secret soulmate is another. My aunt, who rarely says anything strong, shook her head. That is not appropriate, she said quietly. You do not talk like that about your sister's husband. Ever. My sister looked around, realizing perhaps for the first time that the crowd was not on her side. Her eyes darted back to my husband. Tell them, she demanded. Tell them you feel something. Tell them you kept coming because you care about me. My husband looked like someone had slapped him. I came because things were broken, he said. I care about you as my wife's sister. That is it. There has never been anything else, and there never will be. My sister's face crumpled. For a second, I thought she might cry, and part of me almost softened. Then she straightened, eyes blazing. You are all liars, she shouted. You are all scared because you know I am right. You are terrified he will wake up one day and realize he chose the wrong sister. She grabbed her bag and stormed through the yard toward the house. As she passed my mom, she hissed, You will all see. I am not crazy. I know what I felt. She slammed the gate on her way out. The metal rattled long after she was gone. The rest of the cookout was a weird, limp thing. People murmured about the weather, about sports, about anything except the nuclear bomb that had just gone off. My dad kept his head down, flipping burgers that nobody wanted to eat. My mom dabbed her eyes and muttered prayers under her breath. My aunt patted my arm and whispered, You did what had to be done, like we were in some kind of secret club. My cousin avoided my eyes completely, cheeks pink with that special kind of secondhand embarrassment you get when you realize you helped spread something that was never funny. On the drive home, my husband and I did not speak much. We were both numb. Finally, he said, "I did not realize people were talking." I laughed without humor. "You thought all her little comments were just jokes." "I did," he said. "I honestly did. I did not think anyone would take her seriously." "Well, they did," I said. "And now we have to deal with it." We should have known that in the age of everyone broadcasting their feelings online, the real explosion would not happen in a backyard. It would happen on a screen. The next morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing nonstop. Group chat notifications, missed calls, a text from my mom that just said, "Please do not look at anything before we talk." So, obviously, I opened the social media app immediately. Right there on my sister's page was a long, tear-filled post about betrayal and toxic relatives. No names, of course. Just vague enough to protect her from consequences. Just specific enough for everyone to know exactly who she meant. She wrote about being punished for having a genuine connection, and family members projecting their insecurity and jealousy onto her. She wrote about being ganged up on at a family event, and slandered for being honest about her feelings. She said she was done being the scapegoat for other people's fragile marriages. Hundreds of little hearts floated underneath. Dozens of comments from her friends saying things like, "You deserve better," and "Blood is not always family," and "If they cannot handle your light, let them live in the dark." I read the whole thing twice, my heart pounding so hard my teeth buzzed. My husband sat on the edge of the bed running his hands over his face. "Do not comment," he said immediately. "That is what she wants. She wants drama." My phone buzzed again. My cousin. "Did you see?" Then my aunt. "Call me when you can." Then my mom. "Please, please, please do not respond online. We can fix this privately." Then another cousin. "Why is your sister saying your husband is obsessed with her? People are talking. This is not good." I took screenshots of everything. The post, the comments, the reactions from family. I sent them to my husband and to my parents. My mom called within minutes, sobbing. "She did it," she cried. "She turned it into a show. People at church are already sending me the post. They are asking if you two are okay, if he really—" "She is lying," I said through clenched teeth. "Again, you know that." "I know," my mom said. "But perception is powerful. People see a young single woman saying her family is jealous of her connections, and they make up the rest." "Then maybe it is time we say something too," I said. My mom panicked. "No, please. If you answer publicly, it will get worse. Let me talk to her. Let me get her to delete it." "You can try," I said, "but I am not promising anything." For hours, I paced around our small apartment, phone in hand, typing out responses and deleting them. Every fiber of my being wanted to scream. Finally, I sat down and wrote a post of my own. Honest, messy, a little longer than I meant it to be. I said I had watched my sister tell people for months that my husband was in love with her. I said I had tried to ignore it, thinking it was just another one of her exaggerations, until she started saying it to people she barely knew, including neighbors and people from church. I wrote that she was not being punished for having a connection. She was being confronted for disrespecting my marriage. I did not call her names. I did not say she was crazy. I just laid out facts. I also tagged my husband's profile on purpose because he wanted to be transparent. He told me, "If my name is going to be whispered anyway, I would rather it be on something I actually said." Within minutes, people started commenting. A woman from church wrote, "I did hear some strange things from her and was confused. Thank you for clarifying." A neighbor commented, "She mentioned something like that to me and I thought she was joking. I am sorry you are going through this." My aunt chimed in, writing, "This needed to be said. Enough is enough." My cousin added, "I repeated some of those jokes and I regret it. I should have asked you directly." But of course, there were also the other comments. A distant relative wrote, "Family drama should be handled offline. Posting this is immature." Someone else wrote, "Two sides to every story," like that was helpful. A friend of my sister's jumped in to defend her, saying she was fragile and always misunderstood. My husband eventually posted a comment as well. Short, but heavy. He did it from his own profile with his face and full name visible, because he said he was not going to hide like he had something to be ashamed of. He wrote that he had never had any romantic or emotional feelings toward my sister, that he had helped her with practical tasks out of basic family kindness, and that to see those actions twisted into a fairy tale he never agreed to was humiliating and deeply unfair. He ended with, "I love my wife, I chose my wife, and I will always choose my wife." He stared at the screen for a long time before hitting post. I watched the muscles in his jaw work like he was physically swallowing something. "I hate this," he said. "I hate that I even have to say this out loud. It should be obvious." "Nothing is obvious when people are bored and online," I said. He gave a humorless laugh. "Put that on a shirt." The ripple effect started almost immediately. A couple of his coworkers followed him on that app, the younger ones who liked sending each other jokes about broken elevators and weird tenants. They saw his comment. They saw my sister's original post. They put two and two together and got something way more interesting than the truth. One of my sister's friends lived in one of the buildings where he worked and apparently dropped the whole saga into the resident group chat with a comment like, "This is the maintenance guy from our building." So now it was not just a random story online. It had a face and a place attached. The very next Sunday at church, I felt the new version of it in person. The glances were different. Before, people looked at us like we were the nice young couple who helps out with events. That morning, there was this weird mix of pity and curiosity in their eyes, like we had turned into a live drama they could watch during hymns. After the service, the pastor's wife came over with her too bright smile. "How are you two doing?" she asked, stressing the two. "We are okay," I said. "Tired, but okay." She nodded slowly, like she did not quite believe me. "I saw some things online," she said softly. "I will not pry, but just know we are praying." There it was again, that word, praying, as if prayer was some kind of spiritual duct tape they could slap over any awkwardness. Behind her, I could see a couple of women huddled together near the coffee table, whispering and glancing over. One of them caught my eye and quickly looked away, suddenly very interested in a stale cookie. "We appreciate it," I said, "because that is the script you are supposed to follow." What I wanted to say was, if you really want to help, tell people to stop treating my life like a soap opera you can comment on between songs. Later that week, a woman from the choir cornered me in the parking lot. "I just wanted to say," she began, lowering her voice. Teenage girls can be very intense with their feelings. Your sister is not a teenager, of course, but you know what I mean. Sometimes single women latch on to married men because they see stability. I stared at her. "My husband did not do anything wrong," I said. "He helped with practical things." She built a whole love story in her head. She blinked, surprised at my directness. Of course," she said quickly. "I did not mean to imply. Well, we are all praying. Always back to praying." I got in my car and sat there for a full minute before starting the engine, hands shaking on the steering wheel. The next day at the clinic, I could feel it in the hallway before anyone said a word. You know that feeling when you walk into a room and conversation dips just enough to make you paranoid? That was my entire morning. Two receptionists were standing near the copy machine when I passed by. One of them glanced at me, then leaned in to whisper. The other's eyes widened. They both pretended to be fascinated by the paper jam a little too hard. In the break room, one of the nurses scrolled on her phone and said, "People really do the most online," in this loaded tone, like she was baiting me. I poured my coffee, stared into the mug, and decided I was too tired to take it. But the moment that stuck with me was with a patient. She was an older lady, the kind who treats every appointment like a social visit. I had checked her in 100 times, heard about her grandkids, her dog, her neighbor's car. She always called me sweetheart. That morning, after I handed her the clipboard, she tilted her head. "Are things okay at home, dear?" she asked. My stomach dropped. "Why?" I asked carefully. "Oh, nothing," she said too quickly. I saw something online. I should not have looked, but you know me, I am nosy. Your sister posts a lot. She always seemed like such a lively girl. I hope she is not causing trouble." My cheeks burned. "Our family is working through some things," I said, my voice a notch tighter than I wanted. She patted my arm. "Well, you know, sometimes husbands get tempted. Men are visual creatures. You just have to pray and keep the house peaceful." I almost dropped the tablet. "He is not tempted by anyone," I said, louder than necessary. "He has done nothing wrong." Her eyes widened, and she immediately switched to talking about her grandson's soccer game like she had never said anything at all. I walked back to my desk, heart pounding, vision blurry around the edges. I locked myself in the staff bathroom for a full 5 minutes and just stared at my own reflection. "Is this what you wanted?" I muttered to no one. "You wanted a story so badly that you turned my husband into the villain in your head, and now this is what I get at work." Spiritual advice from people who do not even know what really happened. Later, when I told my husband about it, he pressed his fingers into his temples like he was trying to push the whole situation out of his skull. I am getting my own version of that at the buildings, he said. Little comments, little jokes. Heard you are popular with the ladies, that kind of crap. They think it is funny. What do you say? I asked. I say nothing, he said. Because if I say, actually, my sister-in-law is unstable and made the whole thing up, then I become the guy talking trash about family. We sat there in our little kitchen, both exhausted in that bone-deep way that feels older than your actual body. The fallout did not stay online. A couple of days later, his supervisor called him into the office. A resident at one of the buildings had requested that he not be assigned to their unit anymore due to personal issues that might affect his professionalism. It was obvious who had talked to them. They did not have to say my sister's name for us to know where it started. He came home with his work badge dangling from his fingers like a weight. I am becoming a joke, he said. People are whispering about me in hallways, about something I did not even do. He sat at our tiny kitchen table, the work badge resting in the middle like evidence. It was not even a formal write-up, he said. Just a talk. You know, hey man, maybe keep your personal life off the internet. Like I am the one who started this circus. What exactly did they say? I asked. He shrugged, but it was a sharp, angry movement. My supervisor said a couple residents had mentioned seeing my name under a family drama post. He muttered. He said he trusts me, that my work is good, but told me to be mindful of optics. Optics. Like I am a politician. I grimaced. So people who do not even know you saw my comment and decided you are, what, a cheater, a creep, a homewrecker? Pick any label, I guess, he said. They see a woman crying online about family betraying her and assume the man in the story is the bad guy. It is easier than thinking she might have made most of it up. He pushed the badge with his finger until it spun. I worked hard to get that job, he said quietly. I climbed up from the dirtiest tasks. Overflowing trash rooms, clogged toilets, broken heating in the middle of winter. I did the jobs nobody wanted so I could be trusted with the bigger stuff. And now some bored resident looks at me and thinks, oh, that is the guy who broke his wife's sister's heart. Something inside me cracked. I hate her, I said. I know I am not supposed to say that because she is my sister and blood and whatever, but I hate her. I hate that she took your work, my work, our whole life, and turned it into content for her feelings. He looked up sharply. Do you? He asked. Do you really hate her? The question caught me off guard. I thought of her sitting on her bed in that messy apartment later, eyes wild, lips twisting as she insisted he had given her signals. I thought of her laughing in my parents' backyard about the idea that he might choose her instead. I thought of us as kids, sharing a bedroom and late-night whispers and stupid secrets. How many times had I defended her, covered for her, smoothed the mess so our parents would not get upset? I do not know what I feel, I said finally. It changes every hour. Hate, sadness, pity, rage, then guilt for feeling anything but compassion because everyone keeps telling me she is fragile. He rubbed his face. I am tired of being the villain in her story, he said. I am tired of being the test she uses to see if anyone will pick her. I did not sign up to be part of that. I reached across the table and grabbed his hand. You picked me, I said. You married me. You come home to me. She can write as many tragic monologues as she wants. It does not change what is actually happening in our apartment. He squeezed my hand back, but his shoulders stayed tense. We both ended up in couples counseling for a little while after that. Not because either of us doubted the marriage, but because the stress of defending it was starting to live under our skin like a second heartbeat. The therapist's office was small and neutral, with soft chairs and a plant that I am pretty sure was fake. She asked us to walk her through everything from the first joke in the kitchen to the posts, the cookout, the work conversations. My husband talked about feeling used, not just by my sister, but by the situation. I did what a decent person should do, he said. I helped family. Somehow that became proof of something ugly. I talked about feeling split in half all the time. Everyone wants something from me, I said. My parents want peace. My sister wants attention. My job wants professionalism. My husband wants support. I feel like if I stop holding everything, it will all drop. The therapist nodded a lot. Therapists are good at nodding. But she did say one thing that stuck with me. You cannot stop your sister from telling stories, she said. You can only decide which stories you participate in. Right now, she is the main narrator of your life in a lot of people's minds. The real work is choosing where you step out of that. After a few sessions, my husband and I decided we did not need to keep going regularly. We were okay, even if everything around us was not. But those conversations gave us a few sentences we still use with each other when things get tense. Little things like, "That is her story, not ours," and "I am not taking that role." The longer it went on, the more the stress started to live inside my body. My jaw hurt from clenching. My shoulders felt like I was carrying bricks. I would hear my phone buzz and feel my stomach flip, even if it was just a shipping notification. I hated that my own ringtone felt like a threat. Around that time, my mom started calling me late at night, whispering into the phone like my sister could hear her through the walls, even from miles away. "She does not sleep," my mom said one night. "She is up all night, posting, deleting, posting again. She does not come to church anymore. She missed 2 Sundays in a row. She will not talk to me." "Maybe she needs professional help," I said. "More than prayer and inspirational quotes." My mom sighed. "Your dad says the same. But if we say therapy to her, she explodes about how we all think she is crazy." Then the call came from my sister's manager. They told my mom that her behavior was unsustainable and that they could not keep her if she kept bringing personal drama into the workplace. My mom cried on the phone with me afterward. "She is going to lose her job," she said. "I can feel it." "Maybe that will be the wake-up call she needs," I said. The words tasted mean, even as I said them. I was tired of being the only one feeling any consequences. Meanwhile, at my own job, the fallout hit closer. A coworker I had been close to for years suddenly went quiet. Short answers. No more lunch invites. Finally, I asked her what was going on. She looked uncomfortable. I do not want to get in the middle," she said. "Your sister follows me online and sent me messages about you twisting her words. I do not want to be part of that." I felt my throat tighten. "You know me," I said. "You know I would not do this without a reason." "I know," she said gently. "But I also know how messy family stuff gets. I have enough of my own. I hope you understand." So I lost a piece of my support system, too. Later, even after things calmed down, we never really went back to what we were. We stayed polite, but that easy friendship was gone. My cousin, the same one who used to repeat my sister's jokes, sent me a long message late one night. "I am sorry," he wrote. "I thought it was just drama, and I kept repeating it because she made it sound funny. I did not realize how serious it was until the cookout. I unfollowed her for a while because I cannot handle the posts. I will not talk about your marriage again. It is not my place." It was not some grand gesture, but it was a small relief to know at least one person who had helped fuel the rumor mill was backing away. Around that time, my husband and I met with a lawyer. We did not want to sue my sister or anything dramatic like that. We just wanted a way to make her stop talking about him like he was her tragic, almost lover. The lawyer listened patiently, took notes, read through some of the screenshots I had brought. Then he said, "We could draft a cease and desist letter. It would basically tell her to stop making certain statements or face possible legal action. Sometimes just the formal language is enough to scare people into silence." "Would it fix the damage that is already done?" my husband asked. The lawyer shook his head. "Not really. It might prevent future posts, but it could also escalate things if she feels attacked." We took the draft document home and told my parents about it. My dad, surprisingly, was the one who hesitated. "She is hanging by a thread," he said. "If she gets a letter like that, she will feel cornered. I agree she has gone too far, but I am scared of what she might do if she feels like everyone is against her." I wanted to argue, to say that my husband's job and our reputations were not less important than my sister's feelings. But then my mom mentioned something that made my stomach drop. "She called me in the middle of the night," my mom said, voice trembling. She said she was tired, that she did not see the point of anything, that everyone saw her as a monster now. I sat there on my parents' couch, holding that piece of paper that could maybe shut her up, but might also push her over the edge, and for the first time I felt something besides anger. I felt scared. We ended up putting the letter in a folder in a drawer at home and agreeing on one simple rule. If she started posting again, we would send it. If she stayed offline and got help, we would leave it there, like a fire extinguisher we hoped never to use. It got worse before it got better. My sister finally did lose her job. Apparently she had another meltdown at work, accusing her manager and coworkers of conspiring with my family to destroy me. She did it in front of customers. That was it. They let her go. After that, she went quiet. Completely quiet. She did not answer texts or calls. She did not post online. She did not show up at my parents' house. For someone who lived half her life on her phone, the silence was terrifying. My mom called me every day, panicking. My dad drove by my sister's apartment twice and said her car was still there, but nobody answered the door. He could hear the television sometimes, but she would not open. Then one night, my dad called me sounding shaken in a way I had never heard. "I used the emergency key," he said. "I know she did not want us to, but I was scared. I waited outside and knocked and called her name. No answer. I could hear something inside, but it did not sound right." "What do you mean?" I asked. He swallowed. "The place is a mess," he said. "Dishes everywhere, trash overflowing, piles of clothes. It smells bad. She looks worse." "Is she there?" I asked, already grabbing my keys. "She is in the bedroom," he said. She opened the door, and I barely recognized her. She is so thin, and her hair is greasy, and her eyes. "I am scared, daughter. I do not know what to do. Can you come?" I wanted to say no. I wanted to say, "You all protected her while she tore my life apart. You handle this." But my dad's voice sounded so small, and the idea of my sister alone in that state made some old protective instinct kick in. "I am coming," I said. When I walked into her apartment, it felt like stepping into a different world. She had always been messy, but this was another level. Dirty plates on every surface, takeout containers stacked by the trash, a smell of old food and sweat and stale air, piles of clothes mixed with unopened bills. The blinds were half shut, letting in just enough light to make everything look worse. My sister was sitting on the edge of her bed in an oversized t-shirt I recognized from years ago. Her hair was matted. Her eyes were swollen like she had been crying for days. She looked up when I walked in and flinched like I had slapped her. "Oh," she said. "You?" "Yeah," I said softly. "Me." My dad stood by the doorway, arms crossed, trying to hold himself together. For a minute, no one spoke. Then she laughed, this broken little sound. "So this is the part where you say, 'I told you so,' right?" she said. "Where you tell me I ruined your marriage and your life, and now look at me." "I am not here for that," I said. It was only half true. Part of me would always want to scream those words into her face, but the scene in front of me made the words stick in my throat. She wiped her nose on her sleeve. "Why else would you come?" "Because my dad called me," I said. "Because he is scared. Because it looks like you have not opened your curtains in weeks. Because you lost your job and went off the grid." She scoffed. "Oh, right. Suddenly everyone cares. Where were you when I was telling you how I felt?" "Busy living my life," I said. "Busy working. Busy keeping my marriage from collapsing under the weight of your fantasy." Her face hardened. "It was not a fantasy," she said. "You did not see the way he looked at me, the way he always answered my messages before yours sometimes. The way he—" "Stop," I said sharply. "We are not doing this here. You are sitting in trash, you have not showered in who knows how long, and you are still more interested in defending your imaginary love story than noticing you are not okay." She opened her mouth, closed it. Then suddenly the words started pouring out. "He made me feel seen," she said, voice shaking. "You have him all the time. You go home together. You share a bed. You share a life. People ask about you two like you are some cute little team. Nobody ever looks at me like that. When my last boyfriend left, he said I was too much, that he needed someone calmer. No one ever chooses me. So when your husband kept showing up, fixing things, checking in, I thought maybe finally someone saw me." I sat down on the floor. "Because my knees felt weak. Helping you with a dead battery is not romantic," I said, softer now. "Answering a text about your shower not working is not flirting. Do you know how many times he has gone to help our parents with their sink? Did you think he was in love with them too?" She cracked a tiny, painful smile. "They do not have my hair," she muttered. I almost laughed, which made me want to cry even more. "You took normal acts of kindness," I said, "and you turned them into proof. Then you told everyone about your proof. You said over and over that he was obsessed with you, that he would choose you. You made people see me as the jealous, uptight wife who could not handle her husband loving someone else." Her eyes filled with tears. "I did not think it would go that far," she said. I do not know what I thought. That if I said it enough, it would become real. That he would wake up one day and admit it. That people would look at me and finally say, 'Wow, someone like him wants someone like her.' And now?" I asked. She looked around her trashed apartment. "Now I look pathetic," she whispered. "I lost my job. Everyone thinks I am crazy. People at the store were talking about me like I was some unstable drama queen. I see your husband's post in my head every night. I love my wife. I will always choose my wife. It keeps playing like a recording. I feel stupid and empty. My dad stepped closer. We can get help, he said gently. There are therapists who specialize in obsessive thinking, in attachment issues. We can find someone, my sister snorted. So now I am a case study, she said. Great. You are not a case study, I said. You are my sister. A very destructive, selfish, exhausting sister, but still my sister. She laughed through her tears. Wow, what a warm endorsement. I am not going to lie to you, I said. You hurt me. You hurt my husband. You cost him a piece of his reputation at work. You cost me a coworker. You made every family gathering feel like a trap. That does not vanish because your life is falling apart now. Both things are true at the same time. She wiped her eyes again, hands shaking. So, what happens now? She asked. Do you send that legal letter? Do you cut me off forever? Do we all just pretend we never existed together? I looked at my dad. His eyes were shiny. I think what happens now, I said slowly, is you see a therapist. Dad already found someone, right? He nodded. I have a name, he said. An appointment next week if you want it. My sister groaned. I do not want to sit in some office and tell a stranger my life story. You already told half the town your life story on the internet, I said. At least this person is getting paid to listen. She almost smiled. Almost. We are not forcing you, my dad said. But if you refuse any help at all, I do not know how we can keep pretending this is just a misunderstanding. There will have to be consequences. What kind of consequences? She asked warily. I will not be around you anymore, I said. My husband will absolutely not be around you. You will not be welcome in our home. You will not be part of my life. Right now, the only reason I am even sitting here is because I am afraid you will hurt yourself. Once I know you are in treatment, once you have a plan, maybe we can talk about what any kind of relationship looks like. But until then, I have to protect what is left of my sanity. She stared at the floor for a long time. Then she whispered, Fine, I will go. But I am not promising to sit there and spill my guts in the first session. That is okay, my dad said. You can sit and breathe. That is a start. We left her apartment that night with no dramatic hugs, no big declarations. Just a first appointment on the calendar and a tiny, shaky okay from her. A few days later, she posted something online. Not a long rant, not a dramatic essay. Just a short message saying she had let personal issues blur the lines of reality, that she had interpreted things in ways that hurt people, and that she was taking time to work on herself. She did not mention me or my husband by name. She did not say sorry out loud, but it was the closest thing to an admission we were going to get. My husband read it and shrugged. It is something, he said, but it does not fix how I feel. I know, I said. We kept the cease and desist letter in that drawer. Just knowing it was there, already drafted, made it easier to breathe. She never went back to posting about him again, so the letter stayed where it was, yellowing with the other grown-up papers we hoped we would never use. Time did not suddenly jump forward. Nothing magically healed. Life just kept going. She started therapy, twice a week at first. She got a job at a call center eventually after a couple of months of nothing. My mom sent me little updates. She went to her appointment today, and she actually showered before noon, like small weather reports. We kept our distance. We did not see her at church because she did not go back right away. We did not cross paths at grocery stores, partly because I changed where I did my shopping. My husband never spoke to her. He told me very clearly that he would be polite if forced to be in the same room, but that was it. No jokes, no errands, no favors, not ever again. At his job, things slowly calmed down. New maintenance problems came up, new residents moved in, new gossip swirled about other people. His supervisor stopped bringing up optics. The joking comments dried up. There are always a few who remember, but he is back to being the guy who fixes things, not that guy from the story online. It is not like it never happened, but it is not the headline anymore. Then my mom called one day and said, Your dad and I want to have a small dinner. Just us, you two, and your sister. No cousins, no aunts. She has been going to therapy. She has a steady job. We want to test the waters. My first instinct was to say absolutely not. The idea of sitting across a table from her made my stomach twist. But my mom's voice sounded tired, and my dad had been carrying this weight too. Only if my husband can say no without being painted as the bad guy, I said. If he decides he does not want to come, I will not pressure him. Of course, my mom said. We understand. When I told my husband, He surprised me. I will go, he said. I blinked. Are you sure? I want to support you, he said. And I want to look your parents in the eyes and show them I am not hiding. But I need you to understand, I am not doing this for her. I am doing this for you and for them. My personal line with her is drawn. That is fair, I said. I am not expecting group hugs. Walking into my parents' house that evening felt like walking into a museum of our old life. The same pictures on the wall, the same couch, the same smell of whatever my mom had been cooking that day. Except now there was this invisible fog of things unsaid hovering over everything. My sister was already at the table when we arrived. She looked different, thinner but not in the terrifying way from the apartment. Her hair was washed and braided. Her clothes were simple and neat. Her eyes met mine for a second, then darted away. Thank you for coming, my mom said too brightly. Let us eat before it gets cold. Dinner was awkward. That is the only word. Everyone spoke in safe topics. Work schedules, weather, a show my parents had watched that did not involve any cheating siblings. My dad cracked a joke about his cholesterol. My mom offered more mashed potatoes like they were a bandage. My husband answered direct questions politely but kept his eyes mostly on his plate. He did not look at my sister at all. At one point, she cleared her throat. Thank you for giving me another chance to be here, she said quietly. I know I messed up. The air went heavy. My mom stared at her plate. My dad looked between us. My husband said nothing. He just kept cutting his food carefully. I took a breath. You did, I said. You messed up in a way that will take a long time to even process, let alone forgive. Being here is not forgiveness. It is a trial period, for my parents' sake. She nodded, eyes shiny. I understand, she said. After dinner, my mom and dad went into the kitchen to make coffee, leaving the three of us in the living room. It felt deliberate. My sister sat on the edge of the couch, wringing her hands. I have been working on things in therapy, she said. They say I attach too quickly, that I read things that are not there, that I need to learn how to feel valued without building fantasy worlds around people. That sounds accurate, I said. She swallowed. They also made me go through everything that happened with you two, she added. Every comment. Every time I told someone he looked at me a certain way. Every post I made. It was hard. I did not realize how ugly it sounded until I heard myself say it out loud. I leaned back against the chair. Imagine how it felt to live it, I said. She nodded. I am not asking you to forgive me today, she said. I am not even asking you to like me. I needed you to know that I see it now, that it was not some grand tragedy or epic romance. It was me being lonely and selfish and trying to feel important. And I hurt you in the process. And I am sorry. The word sat between us like a small, fragile thing. I believed that she meant it in that moment. I also knew that apologies did not erase consequences. They just added a new layer. My coworker still will not talk to me like before, I said softly. My husband still has residents who look at him sideways sometimes. We still are the couple people whispered about at church for a while. Those cracks do not disappear because you see your reflection now. She wiped her eyes. I know. Trust is not a light switch, I said. It is not a you said sorry so now everything is fine situation. I do not know if we will ever have what we had before. Honestly, I do not even know if I want that. The version of our relationship where I pretended your drama was just your personality and smoothed things over while you lit fires, that was not healthy either. She let out a shaky laugh. My therapist said something similar, she said. That maybe part of this has been going on since we were kids. That you were the responsible one, the fixer, the quiet one. That I was the loud, dramatic one. And that everyone let me be that way because it was easier than telling me no. I nodded. I am done being your emotional janitor, I said. I will not be the person who cleans up your messes and takes the blame so you can keep the spotlight. If you want to be in my life, it has to be as an actual adult. Not as the hurricane I am expected to love while she destroys the furniture. She swallowed hard. Okay, she whispered. That is fair. From the kitchen, my dad called out that the coffee was ready. My husband stood up, clearly grateful for the interruption. On the drive home, he squeezed my hand. You did good, he said. You were honest. You did not sugarcoat, but you did not kick her while she was already down. I wanted to, I admitted. Me too, he said. But I am glad we did not. Months passed. Holidays came and went. There were more family events, some with my sister present, some not. When she was there, we were polite. She stayed on one side of the room, we stayed on the other. My husband never engaged beyond hello and goodbye. If she ever needed something fixed, she did not ask him. Maybe therapy had finally convinced her that was a boundary carved in stone. My parents tried, gently and clumsily, to recreate some kind of normalcy. They would say things like, "Look, we are all here together. That is what matters," with this hopeful look in their eyes. They wanted the old picture back, the one where both their daughters sat on the couch laughing and sharing snacks. Not this new painting with cracks running through the middle. But the truth is, once you have seen your sibling willingly risk your marriage for the sake of feeling special, something fundamental shifts. The foundation moves. The house might still stand, but you hear every creak. Some days I missed what we had before. The stupid memes we used to send each other. The way we could roll our eyes at our parents and know exactly what the other was thinking. Then I would remember the way she looked me in the eye and said, "You are terrified he will wake up and realize he chose the wrong sister." And the nostalgia would dissolve. Other days I felt guilty. Guilty that I had not noticed her loneliness sooner. Guilty that I had not taken the first comments seriously enough. Guilty that it took the threat to my marriage for me to finally say no to her. Most days, I felt something in between. A kind of dull ache, like an old bruise you forget about until you bump into something. People love stories with neat endings. They want to hear that my sister got better, found a nice boyfriend her own age, learned boundaries, and that we all laugh about this at holidays now. Or they want the opposite, that I cut her off forever, she moved away, and my life became peaceful and perfect without her. The reality is messier than that. My sister is still in my life, but at a distance. We talk occasionally. We send each other pictures from childhood sometimes. She asks about my work in short texts. She has not made any more posts about connections or jealous family in a long time. She goes to therapy as far as I know. She has a job she does not hate completely. She still makes dramatic statements sometimes, but now she catches herself and laughs it off. My husband is polite if he sees her, but his eyes never soften the way they do with my friends or my cousins. He keeps his distance. I do not push him. He went through his own kind of humiliation in all this. My parents are slowly learning that keeping the peace and avoiding embarrassment are not the same as love. Sometimes they slip back into old habits, asking me to be the bigger person, and I have to remind them that I am not a bottomless well of patience. They are trying, though. They do not brush off my feelings anymore like they used to. As for me, I am still in the middle of it. I still get flashes of those looks from people who saw the first posts and never followed the rest. I still feel my stomach clench when my phone buzzes late at night and her name pops up. I still find myself replaying old conversations, wondering at which exact point I should have drawn the line sooner. But I also know this. When it really mattered, I did draw it. I chose my marriage, my sanity, my dignity. I stopped letting my sister be the main character of my story. Our family did not shatter into a million pieces or magically glue itself back together. It cracked, and we are all learning to live with the new shape. There is distance and awkwardness, and small moments of real connection peeking through the discomfort. It is not a perfect ending. It is just real life. I live with what happened, with the damage and with the boundaries, with the fact that I love my sister and also do not trust her. I live with a husband who chose to stand in the fire with me, even when he was the one being burned in other people's eyes. I live with parents who are finally, slowly, understanding that silence can be its own type of betrayal. People like us do not get fairy tale credits rolling over soft music. We get complicated middles, and for now, that is where I am. In the middle, holding on to the people who actually show up for me. One uncomfortable family dinner, and one quiet, solid night at home at a time.